successfully break into our voting machines. You know who lied and said our voting machines had been hacked? Was Trump. That's what they told MAGA. That's why we needed paper ballots. And that 114 pages, MAGA, you should read it. Because now Trump is saying the opposite. She's saying the opposite. They're saying our voting machines are the securest voting machines. Here's how we know. Not just Russia hasn't gotten into our voting machines, but neither is anyone else. That's what that 114 pages says. So they told you for years we needed paper ballots, and now they released 114 pages saying, yeah, our voting machines have never been hacked. But Obama never said that. The Mueller report never said that. The bipartisan Senate intelligence report that was chaired by Marco Rubio never said that. So it's super weird that now they're saying that we said that. MAGA said that, and not because MAGA. I'm not even convinced. I'm not saying you lied. You were told that by these people who are now saying the opposite. And what she's saying at the end is, yeah, those first 114 pages, went over like a lead balloon and no one's buying it. So here's 46 more pages. And I just want to say, I have not read the new 46 pages. I read the first 18 pages. I read the summary. I put it into AI and got like a bullet point summary. Yeah, there's nothing in there either. Now she's trying to say, like, the point of the 46 pages, and again, I have not gone through each page. I just have a summary of it, but AI is better at this than I am. You know what I mean? Like, AI is really good at some things. And the point of the 46 pages that came out today is now they're trying to get like technical because they're like, shit, people read those pages and there's nothing in there. So now they're like, well, the point is that yes, Russia did interfere or did try to interfere in the election. They didn't break into the voting machines, but the conspiracy was that Putin was trying to help Trump. Which we know that, right? And I just want to say, like, I don't want to talk about interfere because I think there's a legal definition of interfere that might, let's say, influence, right? When we have indicted, right? Even in this last election that just happened, right? There were indictments. We've broke up bot farms, right? You can read these federal indictments. There's a bot farm that was just broken up like this week, Russian bot farms. And they're not saying, hey, support whoever you want. We're sowing discord. They're supporting Donald Trump. So I don't but now because they got caught out with the 114 pages, like, hey, weirdos, no one ever said Russia broke into voting machines. Like, what are you talking about? Now her new point is, oh, but the point was Putin didn't care who won the election, that he was just sowing discord. Well, all the bot farms cared. All the bot farms are asking people to vote for Trump. All the bot farms were making up lies about Biden. All the bot farms were talking about Hunter Biden's laptop. Like, the Russians tried to influence people to hate the Democratic Party. They didn't break into the RNC servers in the 2016 election. They broke into the DNC servers and released all the emails. They broke into Hillary Clinton's email server, right? Like, we know this. So I don't know, like, this is just a sad reach which MAGA, this is, and here's the point. Where are the Epstein files? Where are they? Where are they? Why are we doing press conferences about something we already know? Russia has tried to influence and or interfere in every election, prior to 2016 and every one since. I think that's something none of us disagree on. Like, where are the Epstein files? Nobody cares about this.
You've long been an opponent of weaponization in government. How do you respond to criticism that referring Obama administration officials and even potentially the former president is just more weaponization and this is a potential race to the bottom?
I think that's a very disrespectful attack on the American people who deserve the truth. They deserve to have faith and trust.
It's an attack on the U.S. government and you guys being liars. Someone's telling me to check the news. Why do I need to check the news? I don't know what you mean by I need to check. I have Google alerts. I have 5 computer screens in front of me. I don't need to check the news. I need to check the news less for my mental health.
And the integrity of our democratic republic, which has been undermined by President Obama through his direction of this manufactured fake intelligence document, knowing that it was filled with lies and knowing that it would and could then be used for all of the actions that came after.
Caroline? And I would just add, there needs to be accountability for that weaponization, Phil, that we've seen. And no one has been a victim of the weaponized government.
There needs to be accountability for lies and weaponizing. Well, you're next in line, Caroline. I hope so. I actually don't care. Let's hold everyone in government accountable. And whoever you guys want to arrest in the Democratic government, just know that would be some bullshit. And then we will really get to holding Republicans accountable. Because, yeah, you guys are all liars, known liars. Wall Street Journal released a report saying the DOJ told Trump. Yeah, well, the Wall Street Journal released a report saying the DOJ told Trump is his name. I think he's not it. Sorry, I'm reading someone. His name is Oliver in Met. Yeah. Well, and we can get into this. And I think I talked about this on Monday and how journalism works. And I was actually referring to a specific New York Times report, which, by the way, I don't even give a shit about this press conference. It's just gaslighting. I have so much stuff on the Epstein stuff. But I think when people are saying check the news, are you talking about the federal judge in Florida who's saying that they're not going to release the grand jury files? I just need everyone to know the grand jury files that Trump's pretending have something in them are 1%. There's 330 gigabytes of Epstein files that the federal government has. They're like less than a gigabyte of the files. And grand jury files are to get indictments against Ghislaine Maxwell and against Jeffrey Epstein, right? There might be some names in there, but again, even a federal judge could redact those. So, and if you weren't here at the beginning of this live, because again, when I see, this is what I'm saying, this is why I should just wait to say things. Let me show you guys something. Because I was reading the motion that was filed by Pam Bondi's, I'm trying to make sure I say this right. The motion that was filed in the 11th, that's under the 11th Circuit in Florida to release the grand jury, which is nothing. That is like 1% of the Epstein files, and it's not what we need. And it's just to like try to make people think that something's happening. And even Trump himself has said, we'll decide what's credible in there. But that's not what we need. But I was reading the motion that was filed. Pam Bondi, I don't think she wrote it, but the DOJ lawyer under her that filed and wrote the motion. And I was saying this when there was only 200 people in here, so I should show you guys again because I think people are probably wondering about this. Ben Meiselas, the guy that owns and runs Midas Touch with his brothers, he is a lawyer as well. And this is what I was reading last night, and that he wrote this just a couple hours ago. The Trump administration literally conceded in its own motion. So basically, Trump's telling us all, and Caroline Leavitt's like, yeah, we're fighting to release the Epstein grand jury files, or excuse me, the pertinent, credible Epstein grand jury files. We know that he's had people, the FBI agents, going through and finding where his name is. And I'm going to get back to the New York Times and how we know Trump's, before the Wall Street Journal said Trump's name's in the Epstein files. Yeah, we knew a while ago. But so the Trump administration literally wrote in their motion to release the files that they can't release the files, right? In its own motion to unseal the Epstein grand jury documents that the court, they literally conceded, the government, Pam Bondi's DOJ is like, you can't release these files. Like, they were like, we're just going through these motions. You know, you can't release them. That's what the motion is saying. prompting the judge in the judge's decision that came out today, right? And that's what he's citing as one of the parts, because there's several parts where the judge refers back to the DOJ's motion saying, yeah, you guys know this. Like, you didn't bring any new evidence or anything that would prompt the release of this. If you want these files, you need to start a whole new case, basically. But prompting the judge to note that by the government's own admission, the court lacks the authority to unseal the records. And basically, this judge is saying, if you want these records, it needs to be an en banc decision by the 11th Circuit, which is the appeals circuit, and en banc is Latin, right? It means the whole bank of judges, like all of them. Because sometimes you can get an appeals circuit with 3 sitting judges to make a decision, and en banc is like you need them all to be sitting, and you need the majority of all of them. And that is what Pam Bondi's lawyer is saying. Like, hey, I'm going through the motions, pretending for the American people that we want these files released, but you actually can't release them. And the judge is just like, yeah, like you wrote, I can't release them, and maybe you should just start a new case. Like, I was reading this last night. You need to just either bring some new evidence or start it, create a different case. So, yeah, I mean, and like I said, but the grand jury records are nothing. It's less than one. That's not what we need. Michelle, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Again, this is my Cash App and Venmo right here, just like my name. If you're not following me on YouTube, on Twitch, also please follow me. If you would like to support me, please do. I'm going to update the gift code and stuff in a second. I'm getting tired. Like, if you want to watch the rest of that Pam Bondi gaslighting press conference, I would say just watch it. But I want to get into more of the Epstein stuff and like what people in the comments are talking about, because it seems to be where more people's interests lie, and honestly where my interests lie. Like, I've talked about this, like I was SA'd as a child. This stuff is very personal to me, and the one thing I've always respected about MAGA is that they never let this stuff go. Truly, because I don't think we should let it go. That's the truth. I do not think we should let it go. I did not like that Trump used it to like pretend he cared, and he had nothing to do with it. That annoyed me, because I never believed that, because I've read, I know a lot about the Epstein case and Trump's relationship with him. So I didn't like that MAGA believed that Trump had nothing to do with it. But I always did respect that on this one issue, they seemed to be, pit bull, they were never going to give it up. Oh my God. Sorry. I have so many things to show you guys, but before I get into more of the Epstein stuff, this is about Epstein. I need to show you guys this. So, do you guys know who Anarchy Princess is? She's amazing. She shows up and trolls Steve Bannon, and she's everyone. If you don't know who Anarchy Princess is, you need to look up who she is after this, because she's my spirit animal. One day I want to grow up. She's probably younger than me and be just like Anarchy Princess. She is a force to be at protests. She's getting dragged off and zip tied. This woman is a force. Follow her. Well, don't go on X for your safety. I think she's on Blue Sky as well. I don't think you have to be on X, but she's funnier on X because all her enemies are there. But a lot of men, MAGA men, have assaulted her, if you don't know this. And she has a lot of cases against men who, in her protesting, because my protest is on the internet. She's in the streets. When Steve Bannon, let me give an example. God, there's so many good ones. When Steve Bannon was doing his farewell press conference, but he walked into prison, she had a cowbell and screaming every time he would try to speak. She was just ringing a cowbell and screaming at him. I don't know. It's hilarious. She's really funny. Anarchy Princess. She's one of the most effective protesters I've ever seen in my life. She's very famous. No, this has been going on for a long time. If you don't know who Anarchy Princess is, just Google her name. She's very famous. Anyways, a lot of men have assaulted her in her quest to annoy the shit out of MAGA. And this is a guy who's been convicted. Let me read what she says. So, and if you want to follow her, it's at Satire AP. That's her name on X. or Anarchy Princess is like the title. So the guy who was convicted of sexually abusing me with a flagpole. This is true. If you don't know what she does in the streets, like a lot of men do really weird things and try to attack her. Thinks you should stop talking about the Epstein files because the minors were getting hefty paychecks while they were there. Yeah, this is, and this is real. So this is a guy who she took to court for assaulting her while she was protesting and has been convicted of assaulting her, of physically assaulting her. And this is his feelings about why we shouldn't care about the Epstein victims, and Trump says to move on, so we should all move on.
And really, take a step back, the Epstein files ain't worth, I mean, yeah, there was kids involved, but those kids were 15, 16, 17 years old and getting hefty paychecks while they were there. Not all of them. From what we know, all we know is the hearsay that we've heard. So, it isn't even really worth talking about, But yeah, minors were involved, and that's serious business. But at the same time, there's busts going on all over the place. ICE is raiding all these illegals. They're rounding them up, man.
So again, I'll show you. This is her post. If you want to, this is her name on X, which I assume is her name across the internet, if you want to follow her. But this is so again, these are her words. So the guy who was convicted of essaying me with the flagpole thinks you should stop talking about the Epstein files because the minors were getting hefty paychecks. By the way, this is in grand jury documents that were released in Florida. They were getting like $40. If you're under and by the way, and he's like, they were 15, 16. You're saying that when children are raped or essayed, it's okay if they get $10,000, $20,000? How much is it? How much money makes it okay for children to be trafficked? And his name, she wrote his name right here. I'm not even going to say it, but that's his name. And he has been convicted. I remember when all this happened. If you're interested in someone asked in the comments who it is, that's who. And he has been convicted in a court of law of assaulting her. I'm just showing you. These are the people, this is just, some people really don't feel like children should, if we're not going to protect children, who should we protect then? I don't understand who it is we should be protecting if it's not children. Like, this is the most important thing most of us will ever do is try to protect children. It's ridiculous to say any of that, and it's sickening to listen to. Okay, sorry, I'm just going back to the beginning of my presentation. Let's get into more. Oh my God, I have so many good things to show you guys. Sorry, before we get into the Epstein stuff, I have tried to say this for the last 4 days and I never got it out. I promised myself I would not let another day go by before I just mentioned Stephen Colbert. If you guys are aware that because of Trump suing CBS, whose parent company is Paramount, if you're not aware, and Paramount is trying to package and sell their company, and they're worried that because of Trump, they're not going to be able to get top dollar. These are like billionaires who are trying to sell a company. And Stephen Colbert pointed out that Paramount and CBS were accepting bribes from Trump, and as a result, he was fired the next day. If you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, can I just say, for anyone worried about Stephen Colbert, if you don't know anything about him, Stephen Colbert will be fine. Stephen Colbert got that job because he was a literal force. If you don't remember, they used to call it the Colbert bump when he had the Colbert Report. Stephen Colbert started as a little side reporter for Jon Stewart, and then got his own show called the Colbert Report on the Daily Show that became almost more popular than the Daily Show. And any congressional candidate he would interview on his show would be elected, because that's how much power he had. Like, he has best-selling books. Like, if you've never heard about Stephen Colbert until he worked on that CBS show, believe me, Stephen Colbert is going to be just fine. But I want to just show you what I'm talking about. Again, Trump sued CBS. Trump has been, saying a lot of negative things while CBS's parent company is trying to, the billionaires that own it, I should say, is trying to sell it to Skydance, I believe, or it's not a merger. I think they want to sell it to Skydance. And Stephen Colbert called out the grift, and he was fired the next day.
Parent corporation Paramount paid Donald Trump a $16 million settlement over his 60 Minutes lawsuit. As someone who has always been a proud employee of this network, I am offended, and I don't know if anything will ever repair my trust in this company. But just taking a stab at it, I'd say $16 million would help. This settlement is for a nuisance lawsuit Trump filed claiming that 60 Minutes deceptively edited their interview with then-candidate Kamala Harris last fall. Paramount knows they could have easily fought it because, in their own words, the lawsuit was completely without merit. And keep in mind, Paramount produced Transformers: Rise of the Beast. They know completely without merit. Now, unlike the payoffs from ABC and Twitter, Paramount's settlement did not include an apology. Instead, that's good. Instead, the corporation released a statement where they said, "You may take our money, but you will never take our dignity. You may, however, purchase our dignity for the low, low price of $16 million. We need the cash." Now, I believe... What can I say? Mr. Stephen loves to dance. Now, I believe that this kind of complicated financial settlement with a sitting government official has a technical name in legal circles. It's big fat bribe. Because this all comes as Paramount's owners are trying to get the Trump administration to approve the sale of our network to a new owner, Skydance. Not the music I was expecting? Okay. That was me dancing in the sky. And some of the TV typers out there are blogging that once Skydance gets CBS, the new owner's desire to please Trump could put pressure on late-night host and frequent Trump critic Stephen Colbert. Okay. But how are they going to put pressure on Stephen Colbert if they can't find him?
He says this and was basically fired the next day. Like, that's what happened. And just understand, it's true. Someone, and I'm sorry I didn't see who wrote it, but someone was saying, look up Skydance parent, who owns Skydance. Yeah, it's insane. So anyways, I just wanted to say that if you don't know, I think Stephen Colbert, I actually hated what he was doing for CBS. I literally couldn't stand it. He was much better when he worked with Jon Stewart, and I hope he goes back and does the show he was doing before, like the same. It was on before The Daily Show, and it was much better. It was much more political. He could do anything he wanted, and he'll be just fine. Stephen Colbert is going to be fine, but I just needed to say that because I've been trying to say over and over. And remember, the CBS lawsuit was over complete BS. They said Trump didn't show up. 60 Minutes offered Trump a slot and Kamala Harris a slot, and Trump wouldn't show up, and he didn't want to do his interview, and then he sued them, accused them of doing something wrong, and just to settle it, they gave him $16 million, right? So, like, for-profit media owned because the parent company is Paramount. Paramount wants to sell to Skydance. These are friends of Trump, and they don't want to deal, they don't want to fight him, right? They want profit. And they were afraid if they fought Trump, it would affect at first there was talk of a merger, and now it's just a sale, and they don't want it to be affected. And I just want to show one more clip of Jeff Daniels, because I like this. I like what Jeff Daniels was saying. I also like his voice.
We've lost decency. We've lost civility. We've lost respect for the rule of law. Lost it. We have normalized verbal abuse. on the internet. We've normalized bullying, much as the woke generation tried to, change that. It's back. And out the window goes character, integrity. I mean, nobody has great things to say about politicians. They never have. Go back to Mark Twain. But ideally, we're supposed to elect the best of us, not the worst of us. He's everything that's wrong with not just America, but with being a human being.
I mean, nailed it. I don't know. What is that show Jeff Daniels did? It was like on HBO. Was it called Newsroom? Or he did some show where he had so many moments where I was like, Jeff Daniels is awesome. Yeah, I mean, did he lie? We're supposed to be electing the best of us. And like, this is the point, because I know I actually got a couple messages from people on the left, which I know I promised my therapist I would not read my messages, and this is why. But there were a couple, like, excuse me, I don't know why I'm losing my voice. Delusion, lack of sleep, probably. But that sent me some mean messages, which, okay, whatever, leftists. I mean, you'd affect change in whatever way you want, but that's what the left likes to do, is try to devour each other, saying that I should not be talking about Epstein. But this is the issue, right? Like, I just want to explain it. Because as someone who has read the court documents and knows a lot about the Epstein stuff and has done a lot of research on it, this needs to come out, right? This needs to, for a number of reasons. But one of the reasons is because exactly, right, when we say that Trump has been found liable of SA, that he's exactly puzzle piece, give me 1 second. Okay, got it. That he's exactly who we all think he is, right? It is the information around his relationship with Epstein that proves what? Exactly what E. Jean Carroll said happened. That's why not that we need it, but I mean, that is the point. E. Jean Carroll is one of countless women around New York City that this is what Trump was doing. By Trump's own admission while running for president, unprompted, right? Unprompted. Even though E. Jean Carroll decades before had said to her therapist, here's exactly what happened. She had told multiple of her friends, she told family members, and all of that was documented decades before. She didn't know Trump was going to be sitting on a bus while running for president, just saying, hey, like, this is exactly how I SA people. No one made him confess to his modus operandi. Like, he just said, yeah, this is how I do it. And Trump and Epstein, if you've lived in New York, they say you have to live in New York 10 years to be a New Yorker. Like, I mean, this has been long known that all of this is going on. And it wasn't just adults. I mean, even though, yeah, I've been essayed as adult and as a child, and it's worse. But like, he wasn't just doing this to adults. He was essaying children. Right? And so how many women, right? Now we see, and I don't know how much news. That's why I've spent the last week showing, CNN had Jeffrey Epstein's ex, Maria Farmer, on. They had the most renowned polygrapher in the country. They had 3 people corroborate her story. These women are not lying about Trump assaulting them. Period. Like, they're not. The evidence is there. And I think because this was MAGA's wedge issue, like, it is important to talk about, because if Trump will lie about this, if he'll cover all of this up, what else is he lying about? That's the point. Period. Period. Loud liberal. Absolutely. Joby, thank you for the 10 giveaway subs. You're amazing. I appreciate you so much. You're the best. W Joby in the chat. Wait, and did I miss one? No, those are the receipts. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much. I need to expand my screen. There. Now I'll see them easier. Joby, you're the best. I appreciate your support. More than you will ever know, I promise. But it is important, in my opinion, to talk about this because this ties to so many other things. So many other things that Trump has been accused of, right? Like, these two were thick as thieves. Oh yeah, I forgot about this clip, so I'm gonna play this. If you don't know, Heather Richardson is one of the most brilliant sociologists / historians like in the country. I love Heather Richardson as someone who has a history degree. She was talking yesterday, I think on her own live, and I heard this and I was just, yeah, Heather, if you don't know who Heather Richardson is, find her and follow her. She's literally one of the most brilliant people in our country. Now that Tim Snyder had to flee the country, she might be the most brilliant person that has the guts to stay here. And I saw this clip of her speaking yesterday, and I was like, I need to show them this.
What is the best thing? What is the best thing that Democrats can do right now? I'd like to remind you that this is no longer about Democrats and Republicans. This is quite literally those of us who care about democracy against those who are trying to replace it with an autocracy. And
that is the point. Like every way, and this is my pitch to MAGA. Like, believe whatever you want to believe. Stay on the far right, but understand that every bit of democracy that Trump erodes can later be used against you, right? That's the point. I'm not worried about who's doing it now. We have to protect democracy because once democracy is gone, it's gone forever. You know, it doesn't matter who comes to power and what they're going to use the erosion of democracy for. You know, like it's just once it's gone, it's gone. And I do think, you know, as a history major, I do think we are in late stage capitalism and the decline of the American empire. But hey, while we're all on this earth, let's do what we can to dig our heels in and save democracy.
the one thing I would really highlight here is that the people who say it's a done deal are not paying close enough attention. That is, if this were a done deal that the autocrats were going to win, Stephen Colbert would not have had a show the night after CBS canceled his contract. Right now, he's still running with it. But what that says is that many things are in flux, and people who have power are trying to see what are their best chances of staying in power. And the way to make them convinced that they should not back Trump, who is sick and ill and probably up to his neck in something he shouldn't have been, is to convince them that they want to be siding with those of us who are protecting democracy. So speak up, make sure people hear you, especially now when Congress is going to be on leave for the month of August and now for half of July. Go to town halls. And if your people won't hold town halls, get a Democrat who will, get somebody else who will. Those are great listening opportunities, and they're great community building opportunities. Because, I said to you early on that this was going to be a bad summer. It was going to be a very unsettled summer. And I think on that promise I delivered. The fall is going to see a lot of planes starting to land, and how they land is going to depend a lot on what we do in the next couple of months. I guess the final thing I would say is don't let Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans put a cage around you and the way you think. I'm a little concerned about how many people jump every time Trump does something, because at this point he is a frantic old man, and this is a big country, and we have a lot of things we need to do. Yes, we have to deal with him, but we can't let him limit the way we think, because there's too much else that matters. And remember that when you're feeling overwhelmed by him, there's plenty of other things you can do that will move the ball forward. And at some point, we just kind of have to start moving him off stage. What is the best thing? What is the best thing that Democrats can do right now? I'd like to remind you that this is no longer about Democrats and Republicans. This is quite literally those of us who...
Okay, sorry. Usually I'm casting like using Bluetooth, and I'm just learning how to... Sorry, if you don't know, this is one of the most brilliant people in America. I'm a very passionate historian. I used to be a historical researcher. I have a degree in history. This is Heather Cox Richardson. Truly, one of the most famous historians alive on earth right now, one of the most brilliant ones. If you don't know who she is, follow her, find her. She's doing regular live streams and things. I mean, brilliant. I mean, one of the foremost, authorities on authoritarianism. If you want another person to follow, Ruth Ben-Ghiat, she's a professor at NYU. She wrote the Strong Men book that I think just was a New York Times bestseller. Yeah, I mean, Heather Cox Richardson is truly one of the greatest minds of our time. Like, because you always hear about, oh, brilliant person dead. No, she's still alive, kicking. I wrote papers on her in college. I was about to say I'm stalking her, but I don't think I should say that on the internet. I love her. She's amazing. Like, she's brills. Oh my God. As long as I'm going through this is the presentation I was making in the middle of the night. Senator Mike Lee is a senator from Utah, who, by the way, is Ted Cruz's best friend. They met in law school and have been besties. He posted this on his X, and I took a screenshot before he realized it was fake. This idiot thought Jerome Powell resigned. Someone on X made like a fake Jerome Powell resignation letter through AI and posted it, and dumb Mike Lee posted it and was like, yeah, Jerome Powell's out. And then everyone's like, no, that's fake. And you're an idiot. And I just want to say, Mike Lee is not smart. This is the guy whose claim to fame in the Senate is trying to ban corn. I don't care if you're on the far left or far right. Do any of us not want access to corn? I don't think that's true. Please stop. Yeah, and sorry. I'll get into the Adam Schiff stuff. I have a really good article on the Adam Schiff stuff, but I'm going to focus on Epstein. If you haven't heard, and I'm not saying anything, I know MAGA loves a conspiracy theory. I try to stay away from, but one of the Epstein lawyers did drop dead yesterday. I'm just saying, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it did happen. I don't know. I'm just saying he was 80 years old and unaligned in Coral Gables, but one of the most pivotal people who has all the information on the Epstein files and the trial suddenly is no longer with us. I'm just saying. And that's why this is just the people's receipts. I'm just going to have someone else talk about it because I'm not a spreader of conspiracies, but this did just happen yesterday. Ed actually fax texted me about it. Oh, he texted me again. Hold on, let me check his text messages. It doesn't seem like it, but what the fuck? Who knows these days? Yeah, he said his name's Roy Black, famed defense lawyer. Well, I'll let Brian Baez, which I know everyone's gonna be like, we love Brian. His name is Brian Baez, Baez. He's on TikTok as well, and I love his video. We all love his videos. If you don't know who he is, you're gonna want to follow him. It's at Mentally Divine.
This is Roy Black, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, and I find it very interesting that people who know about this case are disappearing. Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer just died. And it's crazier when it comes at a time when CNN just broke some news. Newly discovered photos and videos shed light on Trump's ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Right here, you can see Jeffrey Epstein entering the main ballroom. We know that they've been friends for a fucking while. We actually have seen the video footage multiple times of them hanging out and partying. But this continuous proof coming out continues to show the link between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein clearly. It's even worse when you realize that 1,000 FBI agents were asked to flag every single time Donald Trump's name came up in the Epstein files. And it's even worse when it comes
say something about that, which we know that's true. That's been talked about under oath in the Senate. But is anyone wondering, it's 300 plus, probably over 300 gigabytes of files, but can someone explain to me why you need 1,000 FBI agents to flag Trump's names in the FC? I know it's real. This has been confirmed that this has happened, and Republican senators have said it, and Democratic, but it's digital files. You know what I'm saying? Why? What? I don't understand the number of people it's taking to figure out where Trump's name is. That's the only thing. These are digital files or they're PDFs. No, but even then, does that make sense? I don't know. But I mean, just that alone release the files, but you have people combing through the files, figuring out if you're in them or not, which we know. Like, someone brought up that the Wall Street Journal is talking about how they reported to Trump months ago that he was all over those files. Yeah, he is all over the files, right? Like, there's let me find the name of the article, because I'm about to just say something unsubstantiated. I have the name of the article. You know me in the receipts. There is an article called An Accuser's this is a New York Times story that came out just a couple days ago. It's one of the ones that Trump's losing his ever-loving mind over. I'll turn it into a gift article, and I'll add everyone in the Discord. It's called, you can listen to these two, you don't have to read. An Accuser's Story Suggests How Trump Might Appear in the Epstein Files. And they're just saying might. Like, the point is that there's all sorts of ways we know that Trump is all up in the Epstein files, because this one person, if you watched Monday's live, I was playing all these interviews that have been done, that they've given polygraphs to these people. They have minimum of three corroborating witnesses, and they have their FBI reports they made, right? So they have all these people that have come out and said, yeah, I made FBI reports twice. That's how I know Trump's in the Epstein files, because I reported him. Like, so this is just one example, and I'm going to turn it into a gift article and I'll at everyone. But this is just one way, but there's many different journalists who are interviewing people and corroborating stories of people like, yeah, I talked to the FBI. I am part of the Epstein files. I know Trump's in it for that reason. So that's why we know Trump's in the Epstein files. And that's why, if you're like, how the F do so many senators know that Trump's combing through the Epstein files and like figuring out how many times he's mentioned? Because he's been journalists know, everyone knows, right? Because people were this one woman apparently contacted the FBI about Trump multiple times. Here, I'll put this in the Discord right now.
At a time when Donald Trump continues to call people who wants the Epstein files released troublemakers. So we know Donald Trump is literally a part of the cover-up. He doesn't want this Epstein file to be released. And now Roy Black, who represented Jeffrey Epstein in his case, who was part of Epstein's defense team, particularly in connection with the sex trafficking charges filed after allegations of underage girls being abused surfaced in Palm Beach County, just dies. And all the information with him. And now the Republicans, House Speaker Mike Johnson, is literally closing down the House of Representatives early for summer recess. Republicans are literally closing Congress early so that they can stop voting on everything, because they're afraid to have their vote on record on releasing the Epstein files. This is how deep this cover-up is. And not only that, but the Department of Justice just reached out to Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's girlfriend, who is currently in jail. District Attorney Todd Blanche says justice demands courage. For the first time, the Department of Justice is reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell to ask, what do you know? At Attorney General Pam Bondi's direction, I've contacted her counsel. I intend to meet with her soon. No one is above the law, and no lead is off limits.
But I mean, listen, I don't know. I could make an argument both ways. Here's the thing. Release the Epstein files. Ghislaine Maxwell has been seeking a pardon, and this has been known. There's been reporting on this for years from Trump. And I don't care. And I think, actually, I hate this. This is like the third time this week I agreed with something Marjorie Taylor Greene said, but I don't give a shit what Ghislaine Maxwell is saying. Release the files, and then we'll decide if we believe or can corroborate anything she's saying. Like, that's like saying, a guy who's a serial killer in prison, like, do we believe what he says or evidence around? You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what she says. Like, I don't think any of us, and I mean that, like, because I don't know what she would say or wouldn't say, but I doubt she's going to corroborate Trump. Think about it. This is the only person ever held accountable for anything. And then Jeffrey was suddenly, when Trump was in office, unalived. I wouldn't be saying anything real. Like, I don't know. And I just think both sides, I've heard this from the left and the right. Like, why would we trust anything she says? I actually agree. I don't want to hear from her. We do what you promised and release the Epstein files. It's like Todd Blanche. Remember Todd Blanche, who's like, I think the second in charge at the DOJ. I'm putting this article about what we're talking about, Ghislaine and the DOJ reaching out to Ghislaine in the Discord as well. But think about it. Like, why would we believe her? I don't like it. And Todd Blanche, the person that says he's going to reach out to her, he was Trump's second chair in the Stormy Daniels trial, who's now the second in charge of the DOJ. Like, I don't know what she would have to say. And even Mike Johnson in a press conference this morning was like, should we believe her? No, we shouldn't believe her. We should do what we said we were going to do and release the Epstein files. And then if she wants to be under oath in Congress, under threat of perjury, cool. But then we can corroborate whatever she's saying with the actual files. I don't think anyone should trust that lady, personally. Yeah, and Trump's selling pardons. We know this for a fact. So I just don't, and she's been seeking one. Yeah, I'm not interested in anything is willing to say. Let's just put it this way. Her best chance for a pardon is absolutely Donald Trump. But if he pardoned the only person to ever be held accountable for an S trafficking ring, I might do a J6. I mean, that would be, I don't know. I don't know if I could handle that.
Be working right now. I'm not. I should be voting right now. I'm not. I should be wearing a suit right now. I'm not. Why? Because Republicans have closed Congress. Republicans are in charge of Congress. Why would they want to close Congress? Let me explain. Every time Congress opens, they have to pass a rules package to set the rules for the week for debate. But Democrats have insisted that we will put in every rules package a vote to release the Epstein files. MAGA wants the files released because they don't trust Donald Trump. Democrats want the files released because we want the truth, and we stand with victims, and we want accountability for those who were harmed. So what have Republicans done? What have they decided to do? They have chosen the most insane path, not to have a vote to release the files, not to have a vote to not release the files and let us know the names of the people who want to bury the files. No, they're just closing Congress. They would rather protect the names of child sex traffickers than to do their damn jobs and open up this building and legislate. That is crazy. Now, I know why Donald Trump doesn't want the files released. Elon Musk told us that. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, who said they had the files and would release them, they work for Donald Trump. They'll get fired. They know that if they release them. But Congress, this place, we don't work for Donald Trump. We work for you, the people. We have our own subpoena power. In fact, we don't even need to have a vote to release the files. Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House. He could subpoena the files and immediately turn them over. But they won't do that. This is a cover-up Congress. What are they hiding? If Democrats did this, we would be accused of protecting pedophiles. But Republicans have chosen to shut down Congress, waste taxpayer money, all in an effort to cover up for Donald Trump. So, I'm not working, I'm not voting, I'm not wearing a suit. Congress is shut down to bury the files and protect Donald Trump. That's fucked up.
I like Eric Swalwell. I like the way he worded that. Oh, wait, what? I'm trying to click on. Wait, why is this not pulling up? Yeah, here. I'm assuming this is either a link to, yeah. Sorry, I have the New York Times like minute by minute updates. And I think this is what everyone was talking about from the Wall Street Journal. But again, I put like, I've known. If you've done a lot of research, we've known this is why Trump's freaking out. His name is all over the Epstein files. That's why he's freaking out. But right now, this article this is a New York Times update I'm reading. Attorney Pam Bondi was alerted. Wait, no. Oh God, Pam needs to go actually. And I just want to say, Pam Bondi only does what Trump wants her to do. But I don't like her, and I could do a 5-hour live on her ties to the swamp and to lobbying firms and to lobbying so countries can, send people to act as foreign nationals on U.S. soil. Like, I don't like Pam Bondi's gross, but she works for Trump and she does whatever Trump tells her to. So if we're going to hold someone accountable, it still should be Trump. But This is the latest, one of the latest updates from the New York Times. Attorney General Pam Bondi alerted Trump he was named in Epstein files. This is why Trump was freaking out. And understand, hold on. Sorry, I'm just making sure this doesn't go to sleep. Understand that this is why Trump was upset, right? Like, not, I mean, the birthday card is bad, but this is why, is because this is how journalism works, right? He's being contacted left and right by different outlets saying, hey, we've done our due diligence. Our legals approved it. We've done polygraphs. We have 5 sources. Like, we know this to be true. We're going to publish. And Trump's behind the scenes all week trying to threaten people, threaten lawsuits, and say, don't do it. And now you see what everyone is publishing. It's all these accounts from individual people who say Trump essayed me. It's this stuff. Here's what, wait. Is this a full article? I'm sorry. Hold on. It says share full article, but where is the article? Oh, it's Maggie Haberman. Trump is not going to be happy. Attorney General Pam Bondi informed President Trump in the spring that his name appeared in the Jeffrey Epstein files. Yeah, which, if you follow journalism carefully, I think this was very obvious for years that Trump was all up in the Epstein files. So that's when she was like, I've got the list on my desk. I guess this is what she was saying. Like, by the way, bro, you're all up in there. The disclosure came as part of a broader briefing on the re-examination of the case by FBI agents and prosecutors. It was made by Miss Bondi during a meeting, that included Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. That's the second chair on the that defended Trump in the Stormy Daniels trial and lost. Now he's the second in charge of the DOJ. And covered a variety of topics. Miss Bondi frequently meets with Trump. Yeah, we got that. Miss Bondi and Mr. Blanche informed the president that his name, as well as those of other high-profile figures, yeah, no shit, Sherlock, that's the point. We're trying to figure out who these people are. Came up in their re-examination of documents connected to the case that had not been previously made public. Mr. Trump, a friend of the disgraced financier. Sorry, I'm just trying to see if anything's important. I don't need to rehash what we already know. Appearing at the White House in February, Miss Bondi distributed a series of binders. Oh my God, I have the funniest video about that. Yeah, we know that. I'm just trying to look if... Yeah. I think that's the basic. Yeah. And it came originally from the Wall Street Journal, which this is what I'm saying. If you have an iPhone, it's worth it to get Apple News because you get you get like the Atlantic, Wall Street Journal. You get all this stuff included in Apple News. So I am saying this is just, I don't work for Apple and I don't know why I'm doing a commercial for them right now, but it is worth it. Like, don't subscribe to all these things individually. Apple News includes the Wall Street Journal. It's like $11.99. I don't know. Isn't it like $11.99? But I mean, it's many, many publications. Like I know people that subscribe to like the Atlantic, Wall Street Journal, all separately. And I'm like, a lot of these, the Rolling Stone is in there, the Daily Beast. Like, you have to pay for all these things individually. It's all in Apple News if you have an iPhone. Trust me, I did a lot of research. It's so worth it. I hate Apple though. I'm not trying to do a commercial for them. But as far as like, you'll save money, like trying to get access to all this stuff individually. That's all I'm saying. Okay. I forgot. So I just want to show some things because there's a lot of these clips floating around, but Trump is trying to say that Obama, is lying about, needs to be tried for treason, which, by the way, I forgot to say this. The most important thing to understand, Obama has immunity. And I honestly don't know if that's why Trump is blaming Obama for all this, because he knows that Obama can't be tried for any of this. He was the sitting president. Obama cannot be tried for, he has presidential immunity, which has been, the definition of which has been extended by John Roberts. Like, Obama can't be held accountable for any of this. And I almost wonder if that's why they're trying to name him in this, because they know that. And at that press conference a few hours ago, like, there was a reporter that made the mistake of bringing that up, and they're like, shut up. He's like, yeah, you can't prosecute Obama for any of this, right? Like, he was a sitting president. Like, he has presidential immunity. Like, why are you talking about all this? Yeah, just to be clear, Obama can't be held accountable for anything anyways. Just like Trump can't, just like Biden can't. John Roberts said presidents are kings. And that's why, if you're wondering why Trump keeps talking about treason, or also known as seditious conspiracy, it's because other things, they have, what am I trying to say? Oh my God, why can't I remember? A statute of limitations. And I think the reason he talks about seditious conspiracy is because that's the only thing that there's not a statute of limitations on, because the other stuff, even if you could try Obama, which you can't, like, the statute of limitations is up. But I just want to show you, Trump himself talked about all of this and admitted that Obama didn't do anything. This is 2018.
Let me be totally clear in saying that, and I've said this many times, I accept our intelligence community's conclusion that Russia's meddling in the 2016 election took place. Could be other people also. There's a lot of people out there.
This was he got this report when he was president and was like, oh yeah, Russia meddled in the 2016 election. So it's, oh yeah, remember he looked like this? Remember this hair? Just the full top comb, just from the back to the front. Then I think he got like better surgeries or whatever, because remember, it used to just be like back to front, like straight off. Like, that's the most important thing. But just know, there are thousands of clips confirming that Russia interfered at the 2016 election. Like, he did press conferences on this when he was president. That's why I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, here's another good one that's going around on X. I love, like, Trump. Do you even actually, narcissist, because of confabulation, he doesn't remember what he said in the past. He genuinely does. He probably doesn't know. Is this a video?
What do I have to get involved with Putin for? I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. I don't know anything about him other than he will respect me. He doesn't respect our president. And if it is Russia, which is probably not, nobody knows who it is, but if it is Russia, it's really bad for a different reason, because it shows how little respect they have for our country when they would hack into a major party and get everything. But it would be interesting to see. I will tell you this. Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press.
Trump, just because you have dementia doesn't mean the rest of us do. Some of us remember every single thing you said. You just don't remember yesterday. But I remember, and I could find 1,000 clips of you confirming and begging Russia to interfere in the 2016 election, begging them to, or acknowledging someone hacked the DNC, which we now know later and was confirmed by intelligence reports that it was Russia, and saying, hack Hillary's server. Like, it's almost like Trump can't remember last week, but the rest of us can, and it's just weird. Like, yeah, this is just, okay, Grandpa, whatever. Like, Trump can't remember like an hour ago, and so he thinks he's like doing something, and it's really scary. Okay, and Mr. Global made a video about this as well. I like when he veers off of like oil and gas.
with the objective of subverting the will of the American people who in November of 2016 delivered a historic victory to President Trump, defeating Hillary Clinton. And President Obama and his team, their goal was to essentially not accept the decision of the American people and to use this manufactured, politicized intelligence as a means to enact what would become essentially a years-long coup.
Here's the problem with that. On December the 15th of 2016, Barack Obama publicly stated, "We are not going to be relitigating the 2016 election. There is absolutely no evidence that Donald Trump or the Trump campaign played any role in Russia's activities in our 2016 election process." In addition, between the time of Election Day and when he left office, he consistently asked the American people to accept Donald Trump's victory in the election. He called for unity, and he said, "We are not all Democrats or Republicans. We are Americans, and this is our process."